Well, hello everybody. It's June, and so do you know what that means? It means it's Ninja Turtles month. And what better way to start off Ninja Turtles month this month than, well, talking about a retrospective on the fucking movies. That's right. I'm doing a retrospective on the original movies, and that means I have to even talk about lesser forms of art like Ninja Turtles 3. And, oh yeah, by the way, if you're wondering what these smudges are on the movies, that's Corey Feldman's signature. Yeah, I'm kind of a dork because the Ninja Turtle movies are like my life. And let's just say I'm a big ass fucking nerd. So today we're going to be talking about a retrospective on all the Ninja Turtle movies. And not the animated ones per se, like the ones that just recently were just aired to TV only or home video releases or anything like that. No, instead we're actually just going to talk about theatrical releases only. So that means I'll be covering the first original trilogy, which, yeah, that means I have to talk about 2 and 3, sadly, even though I have a soft spot for those films. And then we're going to talk about the '07 film because it was theatrically released, even though it's kind of hard to believe it was. And then finally, we'll go into the Bay films. And people that know me probably know what I think about the Michael Bay portions of the films. I'm not exactly the biggest fan of them. But I'm going to give them a fair retrospective review assessment on all these movies ASAP. So, let's start in on it. The biggest Bossa Nova Ninja Turtles retrospective coming your way. It's going to be Bossa Nova, Cowabunga, Chevy Nova, something excellent. So, let's get started and let's hit it. Let's get a slice of pizza and start in with the Ninja Turtle retrospective of the films. Let's go!
Yeah! Awesome! Righteous! Bossa Nova! What? Yeah? Bossa Nova?
Well, we're going to start this off with a huge one. A definitely big one. I mean, the first film of the 90s Ninja Turtles, directed by Steve Barron, in my opinion, is Ninja Turtle perfection. So many people are upset about Seth Rogen's new Ninja Turtle films, and they have every right to be pissed off and upset about it, but not me. To me, the perfection was handled perfectly in this film, and the voice casting was right, the actors in the suits were fantastic, everything. This was capturing lightning in a bottle. This was Steve Barron's masterpiece, and this is Ninja Turtles' masterpiece. This is my favorite version of pretty much the Turtles' looks, designs, personalities, and characters. I have went on record last year when I ranked the Ninja Turtle characters themselves from worst to best, like, you know, the best Raphael was from 2012. But if you notice, the best Mikey and the best Donnie were from this film. And I do definitely declare them still the best. It is easily one of the best fucking movies ever. And easily, I have probably viewed this movie more times than I could count as a child. I mean, it's that batshit fucking insane. And I don't know, just everything about this movie, to me, it all rhymes and it's all beat for beat excellent. There really is no slow parts, and it's a short movie. That's probably my only gripe, that it's a short movie. I could have easily spent 2 or 3 hours in this world, and everything just seems to flow. April O'Neil was casted really good. Casey Jones was great and a lot of fun. The characters that aren't the Turtles and Splinter were great. I love all the actors in this movie. This is Ninja Turtles peak. This is the peak of Ninja Turtles. we finally got the rivalry between Leo and Raph. I mean, how does this one really go? Basically, the Turtles are fighting the Shredder, and the Shredder is running a gang of thieves that is stealing, and etc. like that. April tries to report on the Foot Clan, and they try to have her silenced, which causing the Foot to track April through the Turtles, and they kidnap Master Splinter. Basically, the movie is just like that. That's about it. It's a very simple story, but there are little details in the movie that just shine. And what do I mean by just shine? I mean, they just really fucking shine. It's, oh my god, unbelievable. There are just so many moments. Like, the very first half of the movie is great. We get a good introduction to the Turtles. If you've never seen the cartoon or read the comics before, you actually grow to really like these characters. They are put in to so much perspective on how great that the characters are. And the chemistry between Mikey and Donnie is easily my favorite. It reminds me of the chemistry I had when I was a kid and my brother and I, my grandparents would get into an argument, or my parents. My brother and I would kind of do the fight, kitchen, and we would just go in there. Donatello is easily my favorite character, and yes, I'm a little biased because, yeah, he is voiced by Corey Feldman, and everyone knows I'm a big Corey Feldman fanboy, but that's not the reason why. Donnie was always the nerdy type like me, but he could be smart, and he always tried to hide it. I think they actually capture his personality the best in this movie, because instead of making him a complete nerd like they do in the cartoons or other variations of his character, which I'll be talking about later, Feldman was able to capture more of a teenage side, and his voice at that time, he really did sound like a teenager. So they do capture Donatello perfectly. And then there's Robbie Rist, Michelangelo, which, I have dick rode these guys constantly about this movie. He's perfect as Mikey. He captures the fun, loving, chilled out, relaxed dude, but he can also capture him in other ways too. There's more edges to Mikey, especially in this movie, and there were some deleted scenes we didn't get to see, unfortunately. There are some moments and stuff that I noticed in this film, rewatching it, that I really loved, and you've got to really have a keen eye to notice these things. Basically, at the start of the movie, Raph loses his sai, and this is one of my favorite moments, by the way. Raph loses his sai, and he's kind of throwing a fit, trying to go get his sai back. But then around the end of the movie, where they're fighting Shredder on the rooftop, by the way, awesome fight, by the way, Shredder tells them to get rid of their weapons, and the very first turtle that does it is Raphael. If anything, that beat for beat shows his character dynamic. I love the relationship between him and Leo. Constantly the two are bickering and fighting. They're the brothers that fight. They constantly don't get along. Leo is the stick in the mud one who wants to be the leader, wants everyone to do what he says. He's the boss. That's how it works. Raph is the rebel. He wants to be the one that changes everything, and he doesn't like to blindly follow orders. Another great variation here is Shredder. Shredder was perfectly casted here. I absolutely love the actor James Saito who plays Shredder, and he played him so perfectly. Unfortunately, we didn't get his actual voice performance. Instead, we had a English dub anime voice actor dub over his voice, and it kind of halts the voice. I know what they were going for. They didn't want Shredder to sound too Japanese with an accent. But the thing was, Shredder is Japanese, and I heard that Steve Barron was actually against them dubbing over Shredder's voice. He wanted James Saito to actually use his voice. And the studio New Line really didn't like that idea. They wanted to more Americanize Shredder, which is something that kind of bugs the shit out of me. And I'm getting off topic here. I'm sorry. I could just talk for days, maybe years, about how much I love this film. It is an amazing film, and honestly, it just gets better every time I watch it. The choreography is just wonderful. I love watching the turtles fight. These guys are in costumes, and they are doing all they can. The costumes were actually so damn tight and compressive that the actors would sweat so heavily that they lost 20 pounds through sweating. It's just amazing on how far that they would go. And hell, even the actors had actual cameos in the movie once in a while. Of course, there was Raphael's actor who was in the taxi cab, Mikey's actual physical actor who was in the sewer, the Domino's pizza guy. Then there was Leonardo's actor who was in the movie. They threw him in somewhere. And of course, Donatello was a foot soldier. So they riddle this with so many cameos. It's great. And they do try to follow the comic book, the original first edition, where they're trying to take on Shredder. I think the rivalry between Shredder and Splinter is well done here, though I think it gets more dynamic in the cartoon because they do have more of a history. But this one, you could feel that Shredder's memories of his past are growing back, and he really does hate Splinter. And I just don't know. I think that the movie's best scene is the rooftop fight. I mean, the music in this film, it's just really thrown out there. I mean, it does have that 90s feel that kind of dates it with songs by MC Hammer and stuff like that. But then there's like songs like 9.95, which, by the way, is a banger. Listen to that song. It's amazing. But then there is the original soundtrack done, and the original soundtrack is just amazing. The Shredder suit theme, it sounds so badass, especially when they're on the rooftop fighting and they're all going all out. The fighting and stuff feels so real. The music helps move the picture perfectly. It is easily just one of the best Ninja Turtle anything. It outranks the cartoon. It outranks pretty much any other Turtle media to me. Now, there are some really stupid things that were done, later on, but this is peak perfection. And I think some of the best stuff is in the farm scenes. And, I could just watch the whole movie as a whole over and over on repeat. It is that good of a film. And I'm just going on and on about how dazzled I am by this film, and I can't help it. Everything about it was so perfect. The only nitpicks I have is basically Shredder's voice, but it's a very minor nitpick. James Sato was a great Shredder. Kevin Clash, the voice of Elmo, was amazing as Splinter. The Turtles' voices were perfect, too. I mean, Raph did have that Brooklyn rage thing going on, but you know what? It kind of fit his personality, and I'm glad they didn't make him like the cartoon. Mikey and Donnie were amazing, and those are the brothers that I love the most, so they're wins as it is. This movie, to me, is on the road of turtle perfection, and Seth Rogen or whoever else is making a turtle movie really needs to take notes of this. But I can't get angry on what they make later on because it doesn't really matter. This movie was made, and I honestly have very few to little gripes. And fight choreography, music, the turtles, the voice cast, the actors, the main characters, every single one of them is all completely likable, lovable, identifiable, emotional. You could get really into the scenes. Everything is just perfect. There's a few little minor misses here and there, but other than that, it is a great film. And it's one that I would even show to new Turtle fans to let them get into it. I would show this to my kids to be their first Turtle experience. I have a long history with this movie. I love this movie. I mean, my brother and I used to constantly watch it. We would have it on rewatch. We would make Domino's pizza. We would not make it, but eat Domino's pizza or Pizza Hut with it. I mean, I can remember so much to this film. And I probably can quote every single line in this movie, too. It is that cemented in my brain. It is an excellent film. And sadly, it all just starts to go downhill from here after this film. But anyway, I'm going to say that the original Ninja Turtles movie, with everything that it gives us, gets a score of 9.5 out of 10. So that is a big rating from me, especially somebody as picky as me. Let's move on to the next movie. Oh, Jesus. Secret of the Ooze. Okay. I have a soft spot for this film, too. And I know a lot of people are probably like, oh, come on, man. Secret of the Ooze isn't that bad. Through a child's eye view, which I think James Rolfe actually said this, it is a great movie through the eyes of a child, like he has even said in his reviews. And I agree. As a kid, I loved this one more than I loved the original. But this one, I'd be lying if I said it didn't have problems. And there are quite a bit of them. The costumes don't look as gritty or as dark, unfortunately, as the first movies. That's one of my complaints. They also recasted April, and there's no Casey Jones. Though I do like Paige Turco's April a lot. I really, really enjoy her performance as April O'Neil. I think she's fun. She's a little more cute and flirty than, Allison Hogue, who took the role a lot more serious. Fun fact, in the first movie, Allison Hogue got advice from Robin Williams through Cadillac Man on how to play April O'Neil. So, now I keep going back to the first movie. Okay, I won't go back to the first movie as much. I'm sorry. It's going to happen a lot in this list, but I'll try to keep my opinions stilted on that. You guys know I love the first movie to pieces. But anyhow, the second film, Secret of the Ooze, has a lot of issues. I mean, a lot. Most of it stemming from it's a lot more goofier. In the first movie, a lot of parents complained about kids seeing the weapons and, all the PC crap that's even worse now. So, in this one, we get scenes with Michelangelo using cold cuts as nunchucks, and that's about it. They use toys as weapons and yo-yos and stuff. Unfortunately, Corey Feldman is not in this movie, but he is replaced by Adam Carl, who honestly does a pretty good job as Donatello. In fact, if you remember, I did have Adam on the show, and we talked about Ninja Turtles 2. I have a soft spot for this film, and I can't help but get kind of into the little kitty stuff when I think about this. But honestly, it's a little less dignified than, unfortunately, the first movie. The first movie treated a lot of kids like adults, and teens, and even me as a grown-ass man-child loves the first film. Hell, even my grandpa liked the first film. We would all watch it together. This one really took too many notes from the original 80s cartoon, and they really went tenfold. They did turn Donatello into more of a science nerd. He's not as subtle as he was in the first movie, and that's where it kind of hurts it for me. But I will say there are some moments in here that are unforgettable. Toka and Razor was pretty cool. Anyhow, basically, after Shredder gets pushed in a garbage truck in this film, he somehow miraculously survives, and he's recasted, but he happens to have the same voice. And this time, he is recasted by the Doctor from Lost. I don't remember the actor's name. You guys are going to have to just deal with it. And he does an okay job. He doesn't do very much fighting in this movie until around the end. And even then, the actor isn't actually fighting. It's a different actor. It's a professional fucking wrestler that's doing the fighting. But I digress. Anyway, this one is very sloppy. And you could really tell on this one, it was just kind of thrown together because of the first movie's success. But they were trying to please the parents, the PC culture parents on this one, and it was hurting the movies more than pretty much anything else. And even I have to agree on this one. The movies, sadly, this one really suffers. But what it does make up for you know, with lack of character development and story, it makes up in visuals. Yes, Toka and Razor's effects were great, and they really dial up Shredder's comedy in here quite a bit. One of my favorite lines being, "Babies! They're babies! God!" It's so stupid, but it's so funny at the same time that it was just great. There was also other moments in the movie that are really, really good, but the moments that stick out, what everyone remembers, is the Vanilla Ice stuff. What can I say? I don't like Vanilla Ice myself. I don't care for his music, but man, this song is a banger. Go Ninja Go is fucking unbelievable, is it not? I mean, shit, man. It was easily one of the most biggest things, and it was slapped everywhere. Like, I remember advertisement being everywhere on this damn thing. Unbelievable. But yeah, when they would run the commercials, you would just hear, "Go Ninja, go Ninja, go." But yeah, the violence got toned down a lot, and they were starting to treat their kid audiences like they were talking down to them. But the Vanilla Ice thing does kind of save it. Unfortunately, there really isn't very much fighting, and there's also newcomer Kino, who's okay. I didn't really care for Kino myself, though I do know why he got a part, because he was one of the actors in the suits, or at least one of the stunt actors, and yeah, being in one of those suits, you deserve to have your own freaking part in the movie. Am I right or am I right? But yeah, Kino's character was okay, but everyone else just kind of, it just felt off. And I loved it when I was a little kid. I mean, oh man, it would just pump me up to watch it. In fact, there were some moments in the movie that really do stick out for me, like the scenes where the beginning of the movie where everybody's eating pizza. I just love that. And then you see all sorts of stuff, like the girl with that long ass cheese and everything. Oh man, that shit looked good. I would eat that fucking pizza. But we didn't have any advertisement in this one, unfortunately. No Domino's or Pizza Hut in this round. So, is this one bad, good, or what? Personally, I think the story is a little too complicated for kids, and they try to make it simple in the same process. You know, with the whole mutation, the ooze, TGRI. The professor was also an interesting character too. I kind of wish they would have went with their original plan of him being an Umtrom. You know, one of those creatures from the comics that live in the stomach, and from the '03 series, which Shredder was. But unfortunately, they didn't go with that. They didn't really want to go with character complications. In fact, some characters kind of get lost in this. Mikey is still pretty good and laughable through the whole movie. He gets a few shots in, like Pepperoni Heaven, or didn't I see these dudes on WrestleMania? Then there are, Raphael, who was a character that was, honestly, we watched him because we liked him because of his brooding anger. He was the group's Batman, if you think about it. He was a little too happy in this movie. No anger really here. He just mainly got into a few squabbles with Leonardo, and they kind of recycle it. I guess I could say that the movie did try to do different things, but it does feel rushed. That's the problem. They didn't have time to really work out a story. After the first movie came out, they wanted the second one, they wanted it done, and they wanted it now. And I think if the studio hadn't interfered, we probably would have got a little bit better of a film. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, my total score on this one, the music is still there. It's still decent, but it's not as memorable as the first movie soundtrack. And, well, actually in some scenes, they do use the first movie soundtrack in a recycle, and it just doesn't match up. And unfortunately, yeah. Now, the music soundtrack itself, the Vanilla Ice song is great, but there really isn't that many memorable tracks in this movie, and it does kind of dock at a few points. So, that's all I'm going to say. The recastings are a little odd at first, especially if you're watching them as an adult. As a little kid, you probably wouldn't notice or care, but they do stick out, especially, Shredder and then Paige Turco, who, I actually like Paige Turco's April O'Neil a lot. I would put her as one of my favorites easily. And I've got to say, it's just a very okay movie. The only thing memorable is Vanilla Ice song, really, and that's all it's got really going for it. This one, unfortunately, is not going to get a very high score, and I know a lot of nostalgia people are going to kill me on this one, but this one I'm going to give a 6 out of 10. I know that is painful for me to say, and you don't like hearing it, but yeah, this one gets a score of 6 out of 10. I'm sorry. This one is great, and I do watch it when I get into a nostalgic mood, but it's just not as good as the first movie. The first movie had some big shoes to fill, and this one kind of just flopped. If it hadn't been rushed, it probably would have been great. Let's go on to number 3.
It's hammer time!
Oh God, number 3. You know what? I can't give it a better review than James Rolfe. So I'm just going to show this clip just to show you his thoughts on it, and these are pretty much my thoughts. Just this one clip. I'll let it play real quick. So basically, yeah, Ninja Turtles 3, but I would kind of be lying if I said I didn't get some enjoyment out of it when I was a little kid. Yep, everyone's gonna probably shoot me for that one, but I do think this one isn't awful. I mean, it's shit. Don't get me wrong. It's garbage. It's probably really bad bile, but it's not as bad as what's been released. And what's nice about this one is, at least Corey Feldman got to come back and play Donatello, though the acting is not very good in this one, but I get some laughable moments out of this. There are some scenes that are pretty fucking stupidly funny, like you were expecting the Addams Family, which is just how Feldman's saying you were expecting Freddy Krueger from Dream a Little Dream. I mean, oh my God. There is just so much stupid in this fucking film that, oh God, I actually see it as a guilty pleasure. I know, everybody is gonna say I'm crazy, but the story is garbage. There's no lie, the story is complete garbage. Time traveling, no Shredder, no Krang, no really any big threat, just some cowboy and a samurai as our villains. Mainly a cowboy. And they get transported through time, and I don't know, maybe they were trying to hype off Turtles in Time. I don't understand this one, and I could tell this one was really rushed. I mean, what can I say that James Rolfe hasn't said about this movie other than it is garbage? But he did give some unfair things to it, and I do agree with most of the unfair things he said, but there are some legitimate funny moments. I'm glad Feldman is back, and Robbie Rist as Mikey is great also. There are some decent lines, but like he said, the costumes, the acting, everything it's like these guys knew they were in a shitty movie and they were enjoying it. In fact, in my interview with Robbie Rist, the voice of Mikey, he actually said that he loved this one because he got to say whatever the hell he wanted. And I kind of enjoy that too. I mean, he didn't have to just do straight dub over. And he did get some pretty funny one-liners in there, but this was at the moment where the turtle costumes, God, they looked terrible. They looked like fucking roadkill shit, garbage. You only get to see half of Splinter. Basically, if I'm going to trash this movie, I am basically copying James Rolfe. And he's the master of when it comes to destroying Turtles 3. So instead of talking about how awful it is, and it is awful, I'm gonna just point out some things that I like. I did like the Feldman return, which I already said that. I like some of the music that was in it, and some of the scenes that like where Tarzan Boy plays gave me Beverly Hills Ninja vibes, which I think this came out before Beverly Hills Ninja, so sue me. There was also some moments in there. I was glad Casey Jones came back. It was nice to see Casey again. And Paige Turco really did a decent performance as April. But I don't know. Splinter was okay as always. I mean, yo, dude. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, this was the one that I was going to be hesitant to talk about, and this is probably going to be my shortest retrospective video on this one entirely, because this one did kill the Turtles off for a while. I mean, yeah, we got Next Mutation and stuff like that, but a lot of people hated this one, and I was part of the people that hated it when I got older, but as a little kid, I liked it. It was okay. It wasn't that terrible. I do think like the time travel scepter thing is a cool concept. It's all right. It's not that terrible. I mean, they could have brought Shredder back, and since he was Super Shredder, and they could have had him be the main focus of the story. He could have traveled through time to pick up mutants or all sorts of things, but they didn't go with that. We were stuck with stock cliched villains. However, there really wasn't much personality to any of the characters in this one. Except for Donnie and Mikey as normal. They got some pretty funny lines, especially Donnie. Donnie got to really shine with his comedic bits. I swallowed a frog, I hope it's an ancestor, or hope it's not an ancestor. It's just really stupid. And I actually just recently watched this movie just for shits and giggles, and I got a laugh or two out of it. I'm not gonna lie, I got a couple of laughs out of it. I mean, I can admit when something is terrible, and this was a huge fall from grace for the Turtles. This one was the black stain on the clean white sheet of paper. That's all I'm gonna say. It was just awful, but I kind of have a guilty pleasure for it. Not to say much, even though everything about it was just complete garbage, but since I found some enjoyment out of it, I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 10. Now, and trust me, this is not gonna be the lowest score on here. I could promise you that. We've got some more movies to go through. But however, this one, yeah, I'm gonna keep it brief here. It's not that great. But if you want to watch something just to watch something awful sake, yeah, give this one a shot. There's not much memorable except for the really horrendous effects and stuff, but if you find some joy out of the pain, you're gonna get yourself a pretty decent treat. Let's go to the next one. So after the fall of the Ninja Turtles in Turtles 3, well, we got a new movie called Ninja Turtles TMNT. And what do I think of this one? Well, this was actually a step up from 2 and 3, thank God. And apparently it shares the same continuity. So, yeah. The only problem is the villains weren't that memorable. Basically, it's the Turtles after Shredder is defeated. And they kind of take things to a different level in this one. Not ones that I really care about either. There's a good casting in this. I do like Leonardo's voice actor a lot in this. He did really good. I didn't care much for Donatello in this one, sadly, and Mikey was just great all around. I could always get behind a good Mikey performance, and this Mikey was just fun. A little over the top, a little bit of fun though, and this one didn't seem so rushed. The animation is kind of okay. I do like that flowing comic book style animation, and at times it looks like you're in a video game through some of the movie, but it is lacking. I did want to see Shredder again, but this was after the fall of Shredder, and that was about it. This one, it was still a good watch. I really enjoy this one quite a bit, but it did have some problems and issues. I really didn't like the hypocrisy that they gave Leonardo in this. Him being basically an asshole. And this one, he is a straight up asshole to Raph, to everyone. He went to the wilderness to go fight or whatever. He went to whatever country it was to fight. He comes back, still acts like he's in charge over everything. Him and Raph have a battle, and Raphael is got this alter ego going around, a vigilante. Leonardo doesn't like it. Leonardo doesn't like the turtles fighting. He's kind of a dick. The main villain, though, was actually okay. He was played by Patrick Stewart in this round, and he did a decent job. Though I don't consider them bad guys. They were people that either wanted to keep their immortality or get rid of it, in Patrick Stewart's case. And it was still a decent watch. Would I watch it a lot of times as, say, the first or the second movie? Probably not, but it is satisfying. It's kind of like you eat at a restaurant once in a while and you have a nice beer just to change things up. This one did do that, and I will say that some of the characters were a little forced in this. Definitely has one of my least favorite Donatellos in the movieverse. This one definitely not so well. But other than that, I really enjoy this one, and it's kind of decent. It has a lot of nice fighting scenes. The fighting scenes look great. And I was glad to see Casey and April in more of a relationship this time, because in the first three movies, they really didn't hint that they were in a relationship, except for the first movie. The second movie, Casey wasn't even in there. In the third film, I don't think they even shared much dialogue together. I think they may have looked at each other. But here they show that they're living together. They're in a full-fledged relationship. And I kind of like that. It's a little bit more fleshed out. And that's kind of what we needed. I know the 03 version does this a lot better, but this one does it really well too, and I can fully say I was kind of impressed to see their character dynamics, flood out a little more here. However, the Turtles characters are kind of one note here. They're sort of bland. And I know we're basically just watching this for the action, and that's what makes it really good, is the action. And the action scenes are great. The music scenes, well, unfortunately, I didn't care much for the music tracks in here. Now, the one that came out with the video game, the 07 video game, was really good. In fact, that's the track I'm using right now. But the movie track itself, I didn't really find anything too memorable out of it. So, mainly the animation was very memorable, and some of the fight scenes were nice too. But that's about it. It did take the Turtles more seriously than Turtles 3, and it didn't really talk down to its audience that much. That was what gives it some good points. It is a decent film, and I honestly enjoy this one quite a bit. But I've only seen it a few times, and yeah, that just goes to show you that it's not perfect. No movie is really going to be able to measure up to the first movie, to me, no matter how many they make. This one was animated nicely and stuff, but it just kind of felt forced at a lot of times. That's my complaint. Anyway, a fun, decent villain. The villain kind of hits on April O'Neil a little bit. I kind of enjoyed that. I do like Casey and April's relationship in this one, and they do dignify the Turtles a little bit better. They have more dignity here. So I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. It's a lot better than 2 and 3, but I only watch it very few times. Very, very few times. And this was one that I actually watched in the theater, too. I went there when I was about maybe 15 or 16 to check it out. So I've got to say, it's okay. I didn't much care for Mako's Splinter either, even though I really love Mako as an actor. So nothing against him. But yeah, this one can be really slow and can be grating at times. So 7 out of 10, it's okay. Let's go. The one everyone's waiting for me to talk about.
It's to the streets. You are going to be responsible for amazing things.
The 2014 Michael Bay Turtle film. Oh, God, ugh. But is it that bad? Yes. Yes, it is that bad. It's terrible. It's probably one of the worst turtle movies ever. And what makes this thing so bad? They do try to copy the first movie a little bit, but then they try to go with the amazing Spider-Man storyline of spreading poisons all over through like the lizard or whatever. And of course, we get two primary bad villains. We just get some Shredder who looks like a transformer, and then we get another character who is Shredder's understudy, who originally was supposed to play Shredder, but however, thanks to fan outraging, you could change Ariel's skin color and everything, but if you try to make Shredder white, that's just pure evil, even though Shredder was voiced by, well, let's see, several, or at least 2 or 3 black actors, and white actors on top of that, when he's supposed to be an Asian man. So, I don't see what the big deal was with making Shredder this character, this actor, but I digress. You know how it works. People are going to throw a fit over skin color either way it goes when, I'm not going to open that can of worms. But I will say, the Turtles, they were just boring here. This is the worst Donatello I've ever seen. Like everyone knows Donatello's my favorite out of all the Turtles. God, he looks terrible. He just looks awful. I can't stand this Donatello. Even just constantly with this Leo. The only decent thing out of this one was Johnny Knoxville as Leo, who I kind of liked, but I really think he should have played Raphael. I did like Raph in this remake, though. He was the only character with an actual personality. Mikey was just ridiculous. Too stupid to live. Oh, good lord. I do like that they added in Vern Thompson from the 87 cartoon, but yet they had him be played by BoJack Horseman, which is okay. I don't have anything against that. And then we have the worst April O'Neil that has probably ever been put to screen. Megan Fox. She can't act. The only thing Megan Fox is just a fan service actress. She gets paid to flaunt her asshole for people. Yet, I said it, I'm sorry. Then, the biggest elephant in the room is the Turtles' designs. You know how I complained about Turtles 3 being awful? With their costume designs. Turtles 3 has nothing on these designs. These turtles are fugly. I mean, pure hideous. Oh my god. They are just like the ugliest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. I've seen some ugly shit before. Hell. I have dated ugly shit before. But I digress. These turtles, I mean, it's just like, what were they thinking? Why does it look like their faces got smashed into a wall? Why did they look like, Shrek's pubic hairs or Shrek's ball sacks? This is just, oh, gee, oh. I'm sorry, I'm overreacting, but still, who sat behind the director's chair and said, hey, check this out. What do you think of these turtles? And was the dude high as hell saying, yeah, those fugly animals, man, I want those to be the Turtles' design. Did they really think we weren't going to notice this? I haven't even begun to talk about the Shredder. The Shredder has no personality. Shredder has absolutely zero personality, aside from a line of dining on turtle soup. The only characters that have personality is Vern, and April. So if I'm saying Megan Fox has more personality than the Turtles, then you know something is wrong with these films. This is just garbage. The whole film is just garbage. Like, I went to the theater to watch this because I was like, hey, new Turtles movie, I'll have the memory of seeing it in the theater, and I was just let down completely. There's really nothing memorable outside of the Turtles' designs. Think about it. I mean, I just watched the movie, and I can't really think of anything that memorable that hooks me in. There's the over-the-top fighting with Shredder and everyone on the roof. It's like that they watched the original 1990 movie and said, hey, we could do the rooftop battle better. I'm going to throw a Transformer in there. I'm going to throw a half-naked Megan Fox in there. It's like Michael Bay just couldn't stop with the Transformers and throwing Megan Fox in the movie just to have some semblance in there. I hate this one. I just despise it. I should have fond memories of it, but I don't. I don't care about this one. It is just disgusting to watch, and it makes me thank the Lord that the 1990 movie exists, because it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. I mean, the 1990 movie has some massive, it left a huge impact. None of these movies afterwards really don't leave an impact, especially after 2 or 3. 3 is known for how bad it is because of the costumes and the really bad dialogue, but this one doesn't even have that bad of dialogue. It's just over-the-top Transformers turtle fan fiction made for 13-year-olds. And that's how I felt. It was, if they would make the movie and make it more like the comics, yeah, that would be great. The actors in this, they were not so great. I have complained on these guys a lot. The only actor that does a decent job, though, is Raphael, and that's about it. The other characters in this movie, they're just, shit. And I'm sorry to anyone that really has a soft spot for these Bay films. I don't. I hate these movies to pieces, and they really are worth hating. I mean, the design here, was the director too enthralled in Megan Fox's body to pay attention to the fucking design of the turtles? I don't know. I don't want to know. This movie is just terrible. And no amount of writing could have saved this one. We might have had a decent Shredder if they would let the guy have played Shredder, but they didn't. And it just kind of went downhill from here. This movie, I'm going to give it, unfortunately, with no memorable scenes, nothing but ugly turtles and bland acting, a 3 out of 10. I know that's painful for me to say, but that's how I see it. It's a damn 3 out of 10.
Peeps? Well, I got a big bang for you.
Oh, man, that is awful. That is the worst.
Well, we're finally on to the last of the movies. Out of the Shadows. Well, at least they tried to bring in Bebop and Rocksteady. And Gary Anthony Williams was fun. I mean, they recasted Shredder again. They seem to have a hobby of doing that in these movies, recasting Shredder just for the hell of it. It happens a lot. But damn. This one, to me, is not that good. I wouldn't say it's worse than Turtles 3. Okay, yeah, I will. Okay, it's worse. There's really nothing fun or memorable about it. Well, other than Baxter Stockman. Tyler Perry was a fun Baxter Stockman, and they actually got his ethnicity right, so that's a good point. I really enjoyed his Baxter Stockman quite a bit. So that is a good point against it. For it. But then there is the recasting of Shredder. Krang is just, what the fuck? Could they not have made Krang any better in this? Bebop and Rocksteady were the best part of the movie. I'm just going to go with that. I really like Bebop and Rocksteady's chemistry in this. They had the Mikey and Donnie chemistry from the first movie. My man. I love it. I just love them. And they are a treat to watch in this. I mean, through the whole movie. Yes, they made really bad fart jokes, but they were actually funny. Once in a while, a fart joke can get me to laugh. Everyone knows my hatred with Seth Rogen. So if they had gotten someone to play Bebop like Seth Rogen, or hell, as Rocksteady as Seth Rogen, it would have ruined the whole movie. But the chemistry between Bebop and Rocksteady was fun. The Turtles are about the same. There's no Johnny Knoxville Leonardo in this one. In fact, it's just his regular actor that was in the Suits voice. Well, not suit, but motion capture voice. And Megan Fox is back, and she's still not acting as normal. Vern was back this time, and then we have a saltine cracker Casey Jones who has no personality at all other than he's got anger issues. There's a lot to say and break down here, and I could say and break it down, but it's just, come on. The only good redeeming factor is Bebop and Rocksteady, and it is cool to really see them on the big screen together. I wanted that to happen, the live-action Bebop and Rocksteady, since Ninja Turtles 2's Toka and Razor came out. So they did good, but it seems like they crammed a lot in. Basically, Raphael wants to turn human, Leo doesn't want to turn human. It's crammed in. Mikey is still annoying as hell. And of course, Donatello is even more annoying, and I don't like it. There really isn't anything great out of here other than Bebop and Rocksteady. The Shredder is still boring. Krang is just there. I mean, he's there for the fan service, and I really hate the voice they used for Krang in this one. It's too deep. I mean, he's going to be animated anyway. Why didn't you guys get Pat Fraley to come do the voiceover for Krang? However, it was still a decent watch. I didn't think I was going to actually find anything enjoyment out of it because the 2014 one, made me want to start crying on how bad it was, but Bebop and Rocksteady was a pleasant surprise. Yes, one large fart joke, but I don't care. I actually got a few chuckles out of this one, more so than the first 2014 film. And really, there's not much more I can say about it. It's got way too much stuff crammed in, and they're really trying to please the Turtle fanboys and failing miserably. The story is a little bland, the action scenes really aren't memorable, and honestly, I just didn't care about the Turtles' arguments going on internally over being human or not. None of it was really that great, and Casey Jones, this is the blandest and worst Casey Jones I have ever seen. Even worse than the Casey Jones from the 87 cartoon who just liked to go and beat the shit out of people. You'll do time for this, lawbreaker. This guy, at least that Casey Jones was fun. He was a fun maniac. This guy, shit, I don't know who I would cast as Casey Jones, to be honest with you. But it definitely wouldn't be this guy. No. Now, I am going to do a video, my Dream Team casting for Turtles, eventually this month. So don't worry, it's going to come out. But this one, yeah, the Baxter Stockman was good, and Bebop and Rocksteady was good, and that's about it. That's the only things I like out of it, and it makes it just a little better than the 2014 film. So, in total, the music wasn't that great. The story, I really gave no shits about, and the characters, all but like maybe 3 were shit. So I guess I'll give this a total score of 4 out of 10. I'm being very generous here. I had some enjoyment out of it, and that's about it. A 4 out of 10, and that does it. This is a short review, but there really wasn't much in this one that I could really find salvageable to talk about. So I guess that's the end of Turtles review retrospective here. Well, that did it. It was tough actually rewatching some of these movies again after, so many years, which, it was always a treat to watch the 1990 film. I never get tired of it. I love the film to pieces. But it was a real treat, and sometimes it was a chore to watch these. But join me in my next video when I talk about my Dream Team Ninja Turtle cast. And that's going to be pretty much it. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed the first video of Turtles Month. I know I enjoyed filming it. If you have any questions, always remember, leave them in the comments, and I'm listening. Let's go.
Hello, this is Corey Feldman. Welcome to my studio here in Los Angeles, California. And I just wanted to pop in to say congratulations to Tim. Mr. Tim, I hope everybody's enjoying your videos. He's got some great content, and if you're enjoying his content, make sure you click on that little button right there that says subscribe. Why? Because everything on his channel is Bossa Nova. That's right. Congratulations on your channel, Mr. Tim. I'll be following you, and I know everybody else will too.
Pizza Pie!